Good morning, everybody. I'm going to shout a little bit because the car's making a lot of noise, but this is the time I have to respond to these questions. Daniel Dale asks, how did the wandering Israelites, in the wilderness, after leaving Egypt, keep track of days and years? What was a month to them? Who was the keeper of the official calendar for all this, and how did it all start? Now, this has a very clear answer in Scripture, although it was kind of right after they left Egypt. If you look at the book of Exodus chapter 12, it says, "This month shall be unto you the first of the months." And the Jewish tradition tells us pretty much as follows, based on that Scripture. A month was a lunar cycle. And so when still to this day in the Jewish tradition, very similar actually to the Islamic tradition that has developed much later, of course. When the new moon is sighted, that is essentially when there is a new month. Today in the Jewish calendar is a new month, based on that, according to the calculations that we have, the new moon would be sighted later on today in Jerusalem. We actually, in synagogue, every month on the Saturday before the new moon, the tradition is to announce the exact time when the new moon will be sighted, because we know this already from astronomical calculations. However, the actual day that's celebrated as the new moon in ancient times would have been decided. It could have been one day or the next. It can't be drastically far away from this date, but it could be 2 days are celebrated as Rosh Chodesh, or one day. That's kind of how we do it today. So, for example, today in the Jewish calendar, today and tomorrow are celebrated as the new moon, along with what it says in the book of Isaiah, that it says to celebrate the Sabbaths and the new moon festivals. And also in the book of Numbers, really going back further to the original sources, that there was a special sacrifice. Numbers 28, there was a sacrifice brought on the Sabbath, an additional sacrifice brought on the new moon festival. And that's what we're celebrating today. Again, I'm sorry for the noise the car is making. I got to get it taken in, but I don't have much time. Hopefully we'll be able to do it. We'll hope and pray. Anyway, so that was what was a month. And again, like I said, in the Islamic calendar, they also have the measure of the months. The difference between the Jewish calendar, or the Israelite calendar, and the Islamic calendar is that the Israelite calendar would make sure that the first month of the year would always stay in the springtime in the northern hemisphere. This way that in the northern hemisphere, the Passover would be celebrated in the season of spring, the same season when they left Egypt. As opposed to the Islamic calendar, they will lose a month about every 3 years. The Jewish calendar also does, but we make it up by adding a month. So this year, before Passover, we had an extra month in the Jewish calendar. We had a 13-month year. We're in the middle of a 13-month year. In the ancient times, the calendar was kept by the high court. The court had to decide which day, are we going to be celebrating a 29-day month or a 30-day month, because the lunar cycle is about 29 and a half days, give or take. And so there was a fluctuation between whether we're celebrating a 29-day month or a 30-day month. So, for example, today is the 30th day of the third month in the Hebrew calendar, because this month is a full month of 30 days in the way it's measured in the Jewish tradition. And it would fluctuate in the ancient times because it would be decided by the courts when is the new month. Nowadays, and it's been this way for a good 1900 years, since 1800 years thereabout, since the disbanding of the Sanhedrin of the High Court. We, in the Second Temple times, they used the Greek word Sanhedrin to describe the court. There is a set calendar, and we follow a set calendar that has a set 19-year cycle, and so the calendar now is kept in that way. But until that time, the calendar was kept not as a set calendar, but the courts would decide every month whether or not they're having a 30-day month or 29-day month, and also before Passover whether or not there's an extra month. For that reason, in the Holy Land, which is where, of course, the High Court was, the holidays were kept as the Bible commands, as one day, except for the Feast of Trumpets, which in the rabbinical tradition we call the New Year, because that day, even though biblically is one day, they would keep 2 days because the people would not have a means of determining whether or not the court decided the new month or not. But outside the Holy Land, all the other holidays except for the Day of Atonement were kept as 2-day holidays. I don't think it's a cop. So anyway, that's and that is the tradition we still keep today, that we celebrate 2 days outside the Holy Land. We celebrate 2 days of the holidays to commemorate that ancient practice, because there was no way of knowing. We knew it was going to be either one day or the other would be the new moon, but the word would not have gotten out in time, and so we would, out of a doubt, celebrate 2 days of the biblical holidays, meaning the first day of Passover becomes the first 2 days of Passover, the seventh, or biblically the last day of Passover becomes the seventh and eighth day of Passover. Pentecost is celebrated outside the Holy Land as 2 days. The Feast of Trumpets, known rabbinically as Rosh Hashanah, as the New Year, even in the Holy Land, for rabbinical purposes, was celebrated for 2 days and still is. The Feast of Tabernacles, the first day is celebrated as the first and second day are recognized as a holiday, and the eighth day becomes the eighth and ninth day outside the Holy Land. This is because since the people knew that it would they didn't exactly know the way that the calendar was made, but they knew it would be one day or the other. It was done like that. And then nowadays that we have a set calendar, we keep this because it's in order to commemorate the ancient tradition, and we're according to Maimonides, he's very strict that we're not allowed to stop keeping this. He goes as far as to say that a Jewish person who outside the Holy Land, who doesn't keep 2 days of the holidays, would lose his place in the world to come. It's a very, very serious sin, according to the teachings of Maimonides. That all goes back to this question of the official keeping of the calendars, that there was, it would be the court, the High Court, which eventually wound up in Jerusalem, actually in the temple, and then after the temple was destroyed, it did go to a few different places historically after that, until it totally disbanded. And before it disbanded is when we started to have this set calendar of 19 years. So you can probably, if you live in a place where there's a Jewish community, they might, even at the regular grocery stores around September, give out a Jewish calendar that shows how that works. Or you could go to some of the Jewish calendar websites online for the same reason. Thank you for watching. God bless. Please like, share, and subscribe, comment, and we'll see you later.